Hi, my name is Matt Devitt, Applications Engineer for BWF Envirotech. Today, I want to go over how to properly measure a cage so that we can make a properly fitting bag for your application, as well as, if needed, supply a proper cage as well. So, a couple of items that you're going to need before you get started with this. Cage, obviously. Standard tape measure. This will work for all of the measurements that you have. Another tape measure that can speed things up is a pie tape or a diameter tape that you can use to get the outside diameter of the cage a little faster than using a standard tape measure. Not required. This is all you need to get your proper measurements. The last thing that you'll end up using to get all of your information so that you can send it to us, and if you have any questions, of course, we can help you along with this, is our cage template. So this will let us get a better understanding of what kind of cage you have, as well as a place to put in all the measurements that are required so that we can have a proper cage and then produce a properly fitting bag for your application as well. So if you have any questions on this, get in touch with your account manager. They could walk you through it. But to go over quickly just the measurements that you're going to need, the first one is going to be the diameter across the top of the cage itself. So just measure, go back and forth with the tape until you get the largest measurement. That'll be your diameter. Next one to get is going to be diameter of the pan or the bottom pan itself. Same idea. Go back and forth until you get the largest measurement. That'll be your diameter there. Next to go on would be get the overall length of your cage itself. So from the absolute bottom of the pan to the absolute top of the cage is what we need. What we also need to get is this top collar measurement as well. And then the final kind of length measurement that we need is just your venturi. Venturis are pretty easy to measure. They only come in a couple of sizes, 3, 6, and 9. So we're really just going to look at getting close to that number so you can give us an idea of what's actually there for the venturi itself. The most important measurement that we can get, all those are important, but the one that we seem to find problems with getting in the field sometimes is the diameter of the cage itself. So there's two ways to do this. One, if you've got your standard tape measure, what you want to do is basically measure across from inside the cage itself. So what you're going to do is just go to one bar, measure across to the outside of the other vertical wire. I say bar, but vertical wire is what I'm talking about here. One thing to remember is that you want to know which one of these vertical wire you're supposed to measure to, okay? Because it can be slightly different and it's just enough to where you can have an issue with the pinch on the bag. So if you have a 12-wire cage, what you're going to want to do is put your finger on one of the vertical wires, call it number 1, count over to wire 7, and those are the two vertical wires you're going to want to measure between. For a 20-wire cage, 1, count clockwise, counterclockwise, doesn't matter which way you go around the cage. If you have a 20-wire cage, start at 1, count all the way around until you get to 11. Those are the two vertical wires that you're going to measure between. So that's how you can keep it standard. Those are the ones that are exactly 180 degrees from each other, so we can get a true outside diameter of the cage. Second point that's important to do with the diameter when using a standard tape measure, and this will actually be true for the pie diameter tape, but take the diameter in multiple places: top, middle, bottom. The longer the cage, the more intervals you're going to want to take it. So I mean, at least 3 is a minimum. The more you give us, that's fine. You can't give us too many of those diameter numbers. What we're looking at is to make sure that your original cage that was in there doesn't do any tapering somewhere along the way from top to bottom. So it just gives us an idea of the uniformity of the cage itself. The other way that you can take the measurement is if you have a diameter tape. So the way this works is basically one side is just a standard tape measure. The other side is going to automatically tell you what the diameter is. So you're just going to take this. Easiest way that I like to do it is just to make sure it's horizontal, is you stay somewhere very close to a horizontal wire and then wrap it around. You'll have a main line here and measure it straight up to what you've got. This is 5.60 for a diameter. And so you would go down, and you can see how it's a lot easier. You can just move the tape and just take a couple of different measurements as you go all the way from top to bottom. So that's basically it. When doing a measurement, make sure that you write everything down, top to bottom, diameter. If you have any questions, get in touch with your account manager and they can go over how to use this.